Hey there, it's me Jadrian, and in this video I'm going to talk about how does an atom work. So to start with, what you have to know is that an atom made up of three types of different particles, which in chemistry we call it as neutron, proton, and finally electron. Okay, so every particles has their own charge, which is for neutron it has zero charge, which is it does not have a charge, and for proton we have plus, and for electron we have negative. Okay, positive for proton, negative for electron, and no charge for neutron. So the concept of an atom is that the proton and the neutron always sticks together no matter what. In an atom we call it as nucleus. Okay, so right now I'm going to sketch an atom. I will label the proton as P, neutron for N. So we call this as nucleus, the center of an atom, which is made up of proton and neutrons. So for the electron, it always orbits around the nucleus. So this is a large circle, which we call it as orbit, and this is an electron. And mostly in our textbooks, we do not draw the E represent the electron. We usually draw it as a cross. We label it as a cross, which makes our life easier and simpler. Okay, so this is what it looks like, an atom. This is just a simplest drawing of it. And right now I'm going to talk about rules. Okay, the rules of an atom. How does it work? Their nature. So I'm just going to erase this. The first one is that the number of a proton is equal to the number of the electron. Okay, which means that if in an atom it has 3 protons, and at the same time the atom must have 3 electrons. And the next one is the first shell can hold maximum of 2 electrons. Okay, maximum of 2 electrons in the first shell, and for the second shell onwards it can hold maximum of 8 electrons. Okay, so these 3 are those basic rules to follow. And let's say for lithium, I'm just going to draw a line to separate it. Okay, for lithium Li, the nuclear number of lithium is 7, which means that we have 3 proton plus 4 neutron. Okay, and the proton number for lithium is 3, so 3 proton number. So by this information we know that lithium has 3 protons, which means that we have 3 protons, and lithium at the same time has 3 electrons. Okay, because the number of protons is equal to the number of electrons. So the atom of lithium looks like 3 p protons and no electrons, and 4 neutrons, right? Okay, so this is just a rough sketch of it, and we have 3 electrons, and normally we do not write E for electron, we just label it in a cross form when we are drawing an atom. So second electron and third one. So this is just a rough sketch of lithium atom. And the another thing that you have to know is that every atom has different stability, which means that the characteristic of how they react, it depends on their valence shell. We call it as octet rule. So next page. We call it as octet rule. So the reason they react is that in an atom, they prefer to have full electrons in their valence shell. So an atom prefer to full electrons in valence shell. Oops. I know my writing is quite horrible and I hope you can see it and read it. So what does it mean is that the valence shell, which means the outermost shell of an atom, okay? So let's try lithium again, okay? So this is the nucleus of a lithium. I'm just going to label it L. It's not really that important for the nucleus. We know that lithium has 3 protons and 3 electrons. So 1, 2, and 3. The third one. Okay. So the reason why lithium is reactive is that lithium has not enough electrons in its valence shell. So an atom will react by either gain or lose electrons. So in this case, we know that second shell onwards, it needs 8 electrons to satisfy the second shell onwards. So the lithium does not want the second shell anymore. So after they lose electron, they will become ions. So right now, after it has lose an electron, the charge of the lithium ion will become positive. The reason is because we have 3 protons and minus 2 electrons out of it. The balance is 1 proton, which is the charge of a proton is plus. So that is why the lithium, after they lose electron, they will have plus, they become ions. So let's try another example. I'm just going to erase everything except for the rule. So they react by gaining or losing electron or electrons. So I know that the nucleon number of sodium is 23 and the proton number of sodium is 11. So this is the nucleon number and this is the proton number. Right now I'm just going to draw it out, the atom. Na 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the third shell to fit the last electron, which is the 11th electron. Because we have 11 protons, which means that we will have 11 electrons as well. Okay, so yeah, this is what it looks like, an atom of sodium. So right now the reason is the same, sodium is reactive, is because it does not have maximum number of electrons in its valence shell. So what sodium can do when it reacts with other atom or other compound is that it loses the outermost electron, which we call it as valence electron. So right now when it reacts with other atom, it does not want the last electron or the valence electron. Let me just... So right now sodium has lost 1 electron in the valence shell. This sodium is not an element anymore because the definition of element is that the number of proton is equal to the number of electrons. But now the definition of ion is that the number of proton do not be the same as the number of electrons. So right now this sodium is an ion and it has charge in it. So right now we know that the charge of a proton is positive and the sodium had just lost 1 electron, which remain 10 electrons in it. So 11 minus 10 is 1. Right now the charge of an sodium is plus because it has 1 positive in it. Yeah, so plus. So this tells us that this sodium ion, it has more protons than electrons. That is why it has positive charge in it. So that's it for this video. What you have to know is that an atom, it prefers to have maximum valence number of electrons in a valence shell. If not, they will either gain or lose electrons. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.